Welcome to Business Talk Library Careers. I'm your host, Chris Ward, and I'm really excited about this discussion. I had to even put a suit jacket on for this one because we get to talk about what I do, what we do. We are certified public accountants. That is what I would consider very, very high class career. Just joking. But in all seriousness, I do want to give context to what it means to be a CPA. Because when I was coming up through school, I heard about it. I seen it on the back of a couple license plates and kind of pointed it out. Oh, that person's a CPA. You're like, oh, okay. But never really understood what that means until I actually became a CPA or studying to get the license. So wanted to have that discussion for everyone out there who heard about a CPA or was told you need a CPA or is just curious of what a CPA does.
Yep.
All right, so let's start with what is a CPA? CPA, like I said before, certified public accountant. We specialize in the accounting industry, accounting field, you would call it. And really, there's a lot of different pieces to that. There's actual financial accounting, so how do you account for business transactions? And then there's the tax side, them guys or ladies. But then there's taxes as well. You hear a lot of people reference CPA when they're talking about taxes because that's the general need that a lot of the public are looking for a CPA for to help with your taxes, whether that's personal or your business taxes or whatever. Tax time is where, when you're a CPA and you say you're busy, everybody says, oh, it is tax time. You're like, that's not really why I'm busy, but okay. But so I specialize in the accounting. That's where my career path has been, and is going. I understand taxes, but I also know that that's not my lane, so I go find another CPA whose lane it is, and we work together. So that's kind of the two. Would you agree with that? The
Yep.
Two sections of a CPA. And how do you become a CPA?
Yeah, so I think, it's good to understand that CPA is a license that's, in theory, is issued by the state that you live or work in, where you have to get approval from the CPA board in that state to become a CPA. And so they may have some different rules, but in general, I mean, it's usually, you got to go to school and study. You got to have a college degree to study to actually get the fundamentals of the subject matter. And then you have to sit for the exam, which is a 4-part exam.
Yes.
And then there is the work
Torture.
experience.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's the work experience. Now, on the educational side, I mean, you got to have, I think it's like 120 hours in most states. Say you got to have 120 hours to just sit for the exam. So like to be eligible to say that, hey, you know what, I meet all the prerequisites to actually take the exam, you got to have 120 college credit hours with, I think it was something like 30 of them have to be at least in some type of accounting and advanced accounting classes.
And I think in some states it's 150 as well. So depending on your state, the number of actual college credit hours can either be 120 or 150.
Yeah.
I think most states it may be 150, but it's somewhere in there.
Yeah, because you definitely have to, I mean, after you pass the exam to be licensed, you definitely have to have 150.
Yes, yes. So you have to do college degree, and generally you either do a bachelor's degree at 120 credit hours, and then you do 30 hours in a master's degree, or you just go all the way through and get your master's at 150, and then that allows you to sit for the exam, and then it's a 4-part torturous exam. Torture. Now, I'm going to date myself, but when I took the exam, it was 4 parts. You had financial, regulation, audit, and BEC.
Yeah.
And so financial was really the financial accounting. Regulation was more tax
and law.
Tax and law. And then audit was really the internal, external audit considerations. And then BEC was more economics. How well do you understand the economy and kind of how it all interrelates? Tough. I'm not even gonna say that. Can't say that more. Tough. But I feel like our generation had a little easier than the one before us because we can actually take 4 parts at different times, one at a time, multiple times. The generation before us had to take it all in one weekend. Can you imagine? Like, you sit down on Saturday, you don't stop taking the test until Sunday evening, and your whole career is based on that?
Yeah. I mean, and to give a little bit of context for people who are listening, I mean, even now, when you can take the test individually, each section is like 3 to 4 hours long.
Yes, yes.
So,
the exam is 3 to 4 hours
Yeah.
long. So imagine studying for that across a wide range of topics and everything.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where, you know, you have that pressure of once you pass a section, you have to finish the rest of them, pass the other 3 within 18 months. And the tests are only,
Yes.
they're offered, I guess, what is it, 9 months out of the year? Because they're offered for like January, February, then March they take off. And then
Right.
it's offered, you know, April, May, then June they take off.
Right.
So it's like you have 9 months out of the year and you got to get all of them done. You got to do the studying and you have to pass with at least a 75 or higher.
Yes. There's been some 76s around. There's been some 74s too. So it's a very difficult exam to pass. But the reason why it's so difficult is because the field is such a prestigious field. I'm not saying that to be self-serving. I'm saying it to really say, if you imagine how much money the country goes through, imagine how much money the world goes through, and look at how impactful the stock exchange is.
Yeah.
All of those companies have to have auditors and accountants behind them. Mm-hmm. And so if we rely so much on the dollar, on our economy, then there has to be a group of professionals that understands the language of business and money and accounting for things.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's such a difficult field to master. I won't even say anyone has mastered it, but it's such a difficult field to really be successful in.
Yep.
So that's why it's hard, and I will encourage anyone to do it, but I also want to warn people that it's not an easy road. This isn't just like, oh, I'm going to just go and get that degree and be done. Like, you're actually committing to a life journey to become successful.
Yeah. And I think that there are a lot of people who have studied accounting and they got the college degree and they just couldn't pass the exam. Mm-hmm. Or it's just like they got to the exam, they're like, you know what, I'm okay with just the degree. I don't want to go through, you know, right. the I guess you say, giving up my life for the next 9 months to
right.
study and then to sit for the exam. I mean, because it is a sacrifice.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
Now it does come with a bit of a prestige, because I tell people, I explain it like this, to where, you know, like Warren Buffett says that accounting is the language of business. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I think it's true, and that's globally. I mean, because when you think about, you know, if you're going to learn a language and to be fluent in a language, it takes a lot of study, a lot of practice to be able to do that. And when it comes to accounting is a language. It's going to take you a lot of study, a lot of practice and application for you to be really fluent in it.
Exactly.
To where when an investor, or whether it's a management team, or when someone or a bank looks at a set of financial statements that you were involved with preparing, mm-hmm. they want to be able to say, hey, I don't understand all the details of how these numbers were created, but I know that, hey, some qualified people put these together, yes. and I can trust them.
And that's what that certification and stamp means, is that I am a CPA, my name is on these documents. You can believe or rest assured that the quality and work are in there.
Thanks for tuning in to the Business Talk Library. If you like what you heard and you want to hear more, be sure to click the subscribe button and follow us on all social media platforms as the Business Talk Library.